Tulip's new friend causes some trust issues. Dennis seems to have even less self-control than his father, and Jesse's new partnership with Herr Starr leads him to meet some very important people. It's Preacher, Season 2, Episode 10. Dirty Little Secret. Hey everyone, D here, and welcome to this week's review of Preacher. So yeah, you know, spoilers, they're always here, right? Alright, so we are moving forward for not a big episode this week, not a lot of huge things happening, really more, you know, ratcheting forward, getting stuff done, covering our bases, getting our setup as we head towards the finale. So we're going to start today, I think, with Tulip, who is not doing well, really suffering some serious night terrors, very haunted by her experience with the saint, and it's only gotten worse. She is not sleeping. She's very angry with herself. I think that's very clear. She is not used to being in this position. She's not used to being afraid. She's not used to being terrified. So she's very, you know, the first reaction is to lash out in anger. And that's something that Featherstone uses to her advantage because, of course, Tulip's being watched. Everyone's being watched 24/7. That's what Featherstone and Hoover are doing around the corner. So when she shows up on costume as the nice little neighbor friend asking for her gun back, she's not there for any good purposes. Now, I love Featherstone. I think she is a great character. Don't really like what she does because, I mean, look, our heroes, Tulip, Cass, Jesse, they don't just fuck with people. They don't just fuck with people that don't deserve it, okay? And our group doesn't. Not from Featherstone, not from Hoover, not from the Grail. So it really annoys me. However, that first scene that we had between the two of them, I think that was kind of a perfect setup for following Tulip throughout the rest of this episode because that forgetfulness of the egg. I mean, first of all, cracking the egg and throwing the shells in there. Why are you even bothering cracking the egg? I don't think that's how she normally makes it. Maybe people like their eggs crunchy. I don't know. But her state of mind, even with dropping the egg and not seeing it and forgetting, and then the emotional reaction is Featherstone very kindly, gently reaches down to clean up. I mean, very, very heartfelt. Featherstone plays her role well. But we could really see what that cascade of emotion has been doing for Tulip because without sleep, you need sleep. You need sleep for your mental clarity. So it's not only the fear, it's not only the frustration, it's this continual lack of sleep which is throwing her more and more off the game, which opens her up really for Featherstone's manipulations as we see throughout the rest of the episode. It was one thing, it was kind of funny there and when we have that first scene when she is messing with Tulip, you know, her job there, we find out at the end, and it seems from pretty straightforward to be separating her and Jesse, asking about the saint, because of course they're watching, so they know all of these things that have been going on. Well, they know the gun stuff, I think, pretty much. They seem to be pretty much on top of where those guns are, which is what the ultimate kind of goal was. But pushing constantly about that whole, you've got to trust your instincts. It's very effective there to get Tulip to think about it, but it's kind of funny considering immediately afterwards when Tulip's instincts are screaming that something is wrong with her friend, that she doesn't listen to him. I mean, Featherstone is smart, going to the bathroom, calling up Hoover, having him play the boyfriend so they could do a little beat up, bonding through violence. That does help Tulip. Jesse has said it himself. Unfortunately, that gets her to forget things. I would have loved it if she did that whole bit and then still thrown right at Featherstone, like, all right, now, we didn't answer, how do you know about Dallas? But, you know, not sleeping, you're not thinking very clearly. Perfect job of manipulation done by Featherstone, of getting her to do what they want, even the whole fix it. Was sitting on there and messing with the tile floor. We knew these tiles, we knew this was going to be a problem. So you've seen the past couple of episodes of the moving of tile, why he wanted to hide him in the bathroom in the first place. Just And especially in the middle, right where the toilet is, it's just, you're not even like a side part, something out of the way. Right in the middle, this is just screaming for problems. So of course, when Tulip goes in to try and fix it, because she is she's so handy, and she finds the guns. You can see it's I wonder if she has even been feeling it, and even if the presence of the guns and the saber of the Saints' weapons has been making these nightmares more real for her. One of our viewers was marked about being marked by the angel of death, and I'm curious if that is something she's done, if that experience has kind of connected them, so the presence of the weapons has been the reason why she hasn't been able to pass this off. And I only say that because when she reaches into the hole, I mean, why should she be like, oh, this hole, and then really reach down? I mean, there's some reason why you're doing it. And when she reached, you could see the moment she touched the gun, she knew exactly what it was. It wasn't touch, hey, what's that? Oh, it's a gun. Oh, is it the Saint? There's no process there. It was a realization. And Ruth Negga is an amazing actress, so I'm not thinking that there was any lack of storytelling on her part. So this is now, with a lack of sleep, distrusting of Jesse because it wasn't sent to hell. Jesse, yes, should have been clear with her and is going to be forced to have this conversation. Don't tell lies, folks. You're going to have the conversation now or it's going to be later. Be straight about this stuff. This creates lots of problems. So this is, of course, going to be the next scene when Jesse gets home to find Tulip very upset, very hurt, with the Saints' weapons nicely splayed out in the table for presentation. And of course, I don't want to go any further without mentioning the opening Jesus scene, which, in fact, I will throw out as our Scene of the Week. Interesting bit of storytelling. Really was trying to figure out what was going on there for the moment. I love the shadow play Kama Sutra on the wall there. That was hilarious. Really just almost like, what? A few of them were straightforward, and then there was a few where like, okay, now who is where and what are the... Anyway, it was just, it was a great presentation. And I loved how the kind of off-putting conversation of like, you can never tell anyone ever. We cool? Because Jesus is a bro. Jesus is just the chillin' hippie in all of that, which I loved. Judah standing by with the getaway donkeys. Best line of the night by far. But of course we can see Thaddeus there recognizing that something else was going on in there. I would imagine it would smell quite sweaty. I don't know what smells were like in the old days, but confined space like that, very busy night, should have been able to tell what was going on. So Thaddeus sees what's going on, and as Jesus goes away, he promises to keep the secret. And the follow-up scene with the, I don't know, kind of haunting off-key praise singing by the old lady there as she's pulling up the new child. I mean, it was... Honestly, it kind of hurt. I didn't like that at all. And especially when she just then turns and smacks the hell out of Mom right there. Okay, this is the downside of dealing with religious zealots, is they tend to focus on what they want and everything else is secondary. So poor thing for Mom, didn't even get to raise her baby, didn't even get to hold it. I mean, this is not a good way to start a protective relationship. But man, that lady, she just smacked the hell out of Mom there. And that was only one of the two giant hits that we got in this episode. The other, of course, provided by Jesse to Herr Starr via 3-ring binder. My God, that was a brutal looking hit. It was perfectly done, and I loved his drink, set it down, grab, wham, and that second hit, it was just beautiful. It was nicely done. It looked painful. And the fact that Herr Starr just kind of shuffs it off of like, that was inspiring. I mean, it was just, really, we get some great character work with Herr Starr and Jesse. But of course, we're really dealing with the whole discovery and follow-up. And I think when we find out later on how Herr Starr's actually manipulating Jesse, it really makes sense. Because throughout this, Jesse is asking to do things and Herr Starr is saying no, and then Jesse uses the voice and Herr Starr does it. You would have thought after the first or second time he would have stopped doing it. Or he would have just said, okay, you're going to use the voice, I will do it. But no, he kept pushing Jesse to do it. And yet, Jesse, while he wanted to get the answers, he wasn't overly using it. You know, it was like when he was offered the hood, he didn't say no and didn't use the voice in order to not have him have the hood. So Jesse is willing to take a leap of faith, because that's really what it is. You're putting a hood on and you're Jesse Custer in this situation. They could drive you up to machine gun nest and just blow you up or shoot you or kill you or anything like you would know. So I think that was a big sign from Jesse to Herr Starr, whether or not Herr Starr acknowledged it or cared, that there was a trust element to it. Now the first meeting there, I thought was beautiful. It was perfect, and this deals with a lot of the build-up and drop-offs that we have throughout this episode, because he goes in and meets the Pope and the Archbishop of Canterbury, because the Pope represents the Catholic Church, Archbishop of Canterbury represents the Church of England. They are not the same thing. You English people know that, not everybody does. Anyway, just wanted to throw that out there. So I thought that was great, and as they do it, I mean, it was perfect, because you have all of the seriousness, and of course Jesse understanding, oh my God, it's the Pope. I just got introduced by the Pope, by this crazy one-eyed German guy. And then as they sit, and they start, oh, you don't want to know this, there's some things you can't unhear, there was a coup, and it was perfect, it was all serious, and the seraphim, and now he's on the run, and then you have the Pope. Ooh, they did a good job getting someone I thought that looked pretty much like Francis there, at least on the first far shots, throwing out that no, it's ridiculous, and then he has his complete story. So you know immediately they have no idea what's going on, which was exactly what Herr Starr meant for this to say. It was a way of showing his power, and then letting Jesse know that no, this was pointless, which of course he drops a thing about the son, the boy, which is why Jesse pushes that, which is why, I mean, at that point, that's why I was surprised that, why are you even saying no to Jesse? He's already used the voice on you a couple of times. That's just what he's going to do again, but smartly part of his plan. Which, of course, leads us to the 25th great-grandson of Jesus Christ, the next Messiah, Humperdoo. Very disappointing. And you knew it had to be that. Not just because he was in shadow and it was all that quiet thing, but we just had the build-up and drop-off scene with the Pope and the Archbishop. And we have, again, that super flowery introduction. That's where I knew that something was wrong. When Herr Starr comes in and does that big, fancy, flowery, the Grand Messiah, the next thing, the huda-huda, and Jesse gets pissed on in the face. Because that's what crazy people do. Incest is not a good thing. This is why you need a strong, diverse genetic background, folks. Because you would think, well, you have the Son of God or the child of Jesus and he can just breed and you have the offspring. But no, because each successive breeding reduces that original genetic line. So, at some point there were brothers and sisters, maybe multiple kids, and they were having sex in there, which is what happens with all the royals, which is why you have a lot of mutation and such and birth defects in with a lot of the royal families historically. Also why mutts are generally healthier, or almost always healthier, than purebreds with dogs. Because purebreds, you get the same type of thing. You have a certain genetic line and you're trying to interbreed in order to preserve that line. And it just creates problems. So, diverse genetic line leads to healthy offspring. But overall, again, just a disturbing scene, just disappointing. You can see the air being sucked out of Jesse's gut, while Humperdoo especially goes over and starts rubbing Herr Starr's head, and I think rubbing one off for himself at the same time. That's what it looked like to me. But while Jesse was going through his little notebooks, there are all of those dog pictures. And remember, the first thing when they got into New Orleans, when they asked to see God, they were taken downstairs to that freaky guy in the Dalmatian dog suit. Is that God? Starting to look more likely. Very sure that that's going to be the next stop that Jesse is going to make. Now, as for Dennis, I mean, there's really not much to say. It's really just we're seeing where he is going there. We've got Cass trying to be a good dad, do nice things for his son, try and show him the next way, but really we're just seeing, even from the very beginning when he's going after the first girl, that lack of self-control. And then we get the same thing of with the girl in the photo booth, and he starts biting her. And you know, there was kind of that cute moment actually between Cass and Dennis. You know, as Dennis or Cassidy's almost trying to be that father. It's like he's talking to a father about a kid who's going through puberty. It's, I know your body's changing and you've got all of these new urges and there's stuff that you can't do. Very reminiscent of that type of father-son puberty discussion. Of course, much more serious. And we can see Cassidy insisting on, you know, there's certain lines that you cannot cross. Which, like I've discussed before, kind of humorous coming from Cassidy. But as we can see after Dennis disappears and we see him coming back at the end of the episode from his long night, all blood drippy from the face, he's not exhibiting self-control at all. And this is just him going to get worse, and Cassidy eventually going to have to deal with it in one way or another. All right, just a couple of small things. One, the whole opening bit when we have Jesus talking to his fathers, and he goes through that whole biblical line about, you know, the path of the righteous man should go, and I can't remember exactly what it was that he said. But his father's response is, what the hell does that even mean, man? I love that, especially because they're speaking so hippie, and then suddenly there's this big, flowery, mystical, biblical passage speech coming out of his mouth. Of course, no one knows what he's talking about. It just says, "Oh, you'll get it later on." It was just a nice little moment there, I think. I love the translator necklaces that Dennis and Cass have. Where can I get those? I don't think they really exist, but man, that would be cool. Yes, I believe for breakfast we were having M&M pancakes with syrup and whipped cream made into like a giant sandwich cookie. So, Tulip, a culinary genius. Zorn Zero, you were the one that made that comment about her being marked. So, curious. We'll see if we can follow that up. Nice eye there. On the metal detector bit, where Jesse keeps setting the machine off and Herr Starr's like, piercings? No, Herr Starr. No one else has those. That's just you. Of course, what Jesse did have in his pocket was one of the Saint's bullets, so, Oh, and also the giant hood-over-the-head super trip that Jesse had to go on. Is it close? No. Let's see, that was plane trip. I'm assuming private. Can't wear a head on commercial. Train, car on dirt road, car back in the city. There was a lot of back and forth. I think Herr Starr maybe did a circuitous route, even with the hood, just to throw Jesse off. Actually, it'd be funny if he was like one town over from where they were, wouldn't it? All right, so by episode's end, we have Herr Starr revealing to Jesse what his motivations were, which I was kind of wondering from the very beginning, what does Herr Starr want out of it? Herr Starr wants, well, he likes discipline, he likes order. We saw that from our very first introduction to him. And with the chaos of the reality of this situation coming in, of course, his desire would be, let's just put Jesse with the voice in charge, and then it'll be all taken care of. Order established. Not really knowing who he was talking to, asking a priest like Jesse to stand in for God. So, definitely conflict there, but Herr Starr's isolating, and we already see what has happened with Tulip. That's going to cross over to Cass, who cares a lot about Tulip. Will certainly probably choose her over Jess, maybe the moment, depending on what's going on. And then Jess is going to be all by himself. So, Lot of maneuvering. The Grail's being very smart at isolating and separating everyone, not killing. Thank you at least for that order, despite Featherstone's desires. But this is going to create some real complications going forward. Are they going after the Saint? Are they going to try and kill him? Are they going to try and send him to hell? How fractious is this going to cause everyone's relationship here? And what else does Herr Starr have up his sleeve? I have to wait till next week to find out. So, if you did enjoy this review, please go ahead and hit that like button. Thoughts, ideas, comments, theories, philosophies. What did you guys think? What are your favorite scenes? Go ahead and throw those down in the section below. Now, you can always catch me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at Darren Jakes. But please subscribe. A few more episodes left of here. Plus, we got a big slate with Inhumans and Dirk Gently's Holistic. And Mr. Robot comes out October 11th, Wednesday, October 11th. Just found that out today. So lots of stuff coming up. And of course, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Walking Dead. So don't want to miss any of those. Don't by being a subscriber. Do that by hitting my face right here. And I will throw up our Game of Thrones review right up here for you to check out. So that's it for me. I'm D, and I'm out of here. Catch you guys next time. Bye-bye.